My name is Keela. I teach fourth grade. We were looking at belongingness this year. Specifically for me, what do we need to feel a sense of belongingness?
It's not very total list.
Oh, it's already started.
Is that enough?
Yes.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, and
I
then
know.
do it. Okay, ready?
Rock, paper.
I wanted to look at belongingness as a whole class before I looked at it on the individual level. And so I thought it was the personal connection as an individual that we needed. And so I did a daily show and tell. Everybody in class got to bring something or show something really special to them. It really did foster great community, which I think fostered belongingness in the class, as they all brought things that were special to them and asked follow-up questions. Then for my next cycle, I decided to dig a little deeper. Instead of whole class belongingness, now we could really get to the individual level. And when we're looking at like what we need to belong, down at the bottom, it says we need intimate relationships. And so I put the students into partnerships for reading and for math, where they would always have someone they could grow closer to that would help them feel a sense of belonging, that they had close relationships in the class. And it went a little like this.
What you doing? Oh.
Students did not know outright how to be a good partner. It was something I was going to need to explicitly teach. They didn't all like the partner that they had. They didn't all enjoy the academic abilities of the partner that they had, or the personal characteristics of their partner, and feelings were hurt. So for my next cycle, I decided that I would teach them how to be a good partner. And so I had explicit teaching. We even wrote kind letters to each other and praised each other for our personal qualities. And the partnerships were awesome. I really did see kids make friends with other students in class they wouldn't have been friends with. And I felt like I was seeing a lot of belongingness in the classroom due to these partnerships or working with the same person each day. So I gave the 3 questions that we were supposed to ask. And well, this is how the answers went.
Ready?
When I got the answers back, there were kids who were saying they didn't feel like they belonged in my classroom, kids who felt like they were not comfortable sharing their thoughts with the class. And I thought I had been doing so great with belongingness. So I had to really think about how I could reach these kids. I knew exactly who they were, and many of them don't participate academically. And so for my next cycle, I thought, what else do we need? We need to be held accountable. And so I decided that the students who weren't feeling like they belonged, maybe they needed to feel like they belonged academically. And if they weren't choosing to participate in the academic conversation, I could push that comfort and get them to participate and see if that helped them feel like they belong. They didn't just belong as a person in the group. They didn't just belong as a partnership. They belonged to the academic rigor and conversation. And I thought it went okay. The kids who don't want to participate sure don't love to have their stick be pulled. But I did enjoy, just as a teacher, that more kids were participating in the conversation. We always dream of never taking hands raised. And so it was a good opportunity to try out something I would always like to do in the classroom. But at this point, I gave those questions again, knowing exactly who I was targeting. And again, this is how it went.
Ready?
I was not making any change to the data. The data was not, I ran the data and calculated every which way, and the percentages did not change at all. Not once when I ran the data questions, which was frustrating. And I focused specifically on one kid. My group and I worked and chatted, and in the exercise we did, we came up with the idea of having me put something kinesthetic in. And so instead of pulling sticks, to throw a ball to who was going to answer the question. Well, on the day that my class was asleep and I felt like I needed something interesting, I grabbed a pillow from my library. They loved it. It maybe wasn't going to change the data of belongingness, but the class sure loved it. And it's something I'm glad that I tried. And it was in the conversation with everybody when we were trying to figure out what I would do for my last cycle that I realized I was focusing on one student or a small handful of students. And we were asking why that student didn't belong. They belong at recess. They belong in the classroom. They belong academically. So if all these things I'm doing aren't changing it, can it be changed? And I started to think about the belongingness really different through that conversation, because I was so narrow focused on getting him to change his answers. And I wasn't really looking at what was happening in my whole classroom. And this is sort of what was happening in my classroom.
At least I like maple syrup.
We were having a wonderful time just like that. If you look at those faces, those are of people who belong. They're loved. That's what we need, to belong. And it wasn't the data that mattered. It was what I saw in my classroom. And all these little cycles were adding to my belongingness regardless of what the data showed. I needed to look in my classroom and see the wonderful relationships I had built. And I think that is my biggest takeaway, is that what do we need to belong? We need a teacher who was willing to look at her classroom and try things and adapt them and adopt them and care about belongingness and infuse it into our schedule. So those are my promises of learning. I used to think some students are unreachable. Now I think some of their pain is unfixable. So I promise to love them and show them unconditionally that they belong. And it might not look like that in the data, but if I'm creating a classroom of belongingness and being sensitive and aware, the data might not change. But I think that the belongingness did through all the different cycles I did. I was really focusing on professional development since we are in induction this year. And so my 3 takeaways are that I can have tunnel vision regarding my own problems. like I was just needing to get that data to change. That talking out solutions with my team lent itself to better teaching, that I shouldn't be a one-man show. Team is always helpful. And visiting other classrooms should never go out of style. I had the opportunity of getting to visit some classroom teachers, and even the first 30 seconds you're there, you take away wonderful things that you wouldn't have thought about doing, or that you've forgotten that you used to do, that you can infuse back into your classroom. I want to thank my daughter, who gave me my Mondays to take our class, and my mom, who was my mentor, who gave me a lot of extra meetings and wonderful note taking. And that's it.